you doing?
I'm great.
You're feeling good?
Yeah, I got some sleep.
I heard you got like 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
I haven't had that in a minute.
I know, you're busy.
I try to get, I usually get around 6, which is not enough to sustain quality life. But like 8 hours, I was like so jealous backstage. I was like, I got 8 hours, I'm feeling pretty good. I was like, you bragger.
Yeah.
Like, does each day still feel different though since the incident? Does it still feel fresh? Like as in like, man, what a powerful thing to feel like you almost have like another chance, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm happy to be here, right?
Yeah.
And be here and be mobile and be loved and be able to, I have nothing but gratitude to be here.
Yeah.
You know, and look, when there was the moment where, when you pass, it's like I didn't want to come back, but I'm really glad I'm here. I'm really glad there's real purpose. A real purposeful life is a very meaningful experience. And that's what I get to live every day.
Yeah, it changes perspective. It has to. Absolutely.
Yeah. Beautiful perspectives. Yeah, for sure.
Well, you've been doing TV, but your first movie back was the upcoming Knives Out, which I love these movies.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah. Was that intense though to jump? Because shooting a movie is different than TV. Right?
Yeah.
Don't you usually go away like on location for
Yeah. So that was a big part of doing that film was a couple things. It was because it was filming in London and.
That's cool.
So I always have to have my family around or my daughter around, otherwise I just can't go do the film. So I thought maybe it'd be a cool summer vacation in Europe for my family if they want to come out. So it's also, I want to say a smaller role, it's just a big ensemble film with big, great, amazing cast with Glenn Close and Daniel Craig and all these people. So it was an easy lift for me. So that was an easy yes for that. So I didn't have to work a ton. And I can go sort of have a summer vacation with my family, and we did. It was glorious. I feel so lucky.
I love the family thing. I think the older we get too, like whether there's an accident or not, I feel like as we get older, it's like, it matters. Like my kids matter first. So it's like, if it doesn't work for my schedule with my family or my kiddos, like then it doesn't work.
Right,
you know?
correct.
I feel like
I know. I feel like capitalism kind of kills the humanity a lot of times in us. And so, to me, I always find the shared experiences are kind of everything. So I'm not going to ever forgo those ever again.
No, absolutely. Well, you got to bring your family, was it to the Olympics last year?
Yeah, I took my mama and my daughter. We just go on a train, go to Paris, and we got to go see all these amazing Olympic events, man. That was like the coolest thing ever. My mom's never been to Paris or anywhere, so I got a lot to do first for my daughter, my mama, and that was
so special.
Yeah, it was very special.
Oh, you're such a good dude. Oh, I love that. That's so sweet. That's cool. Mayor of Kingstown is back for, is it season 4?
Season 4
now? Damn.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So what's happening this season?
Well, I can't tell you.
Okay. Spoiler.
But it starts on Sunday's coming. I don't think they might be releasing two episodes. But this season, which really great, we got Edie Falco this season, right? We got a lot of new players that came in. Yeah. But here's what's different for me is that the intensity of it is, in an already intense show, is really ramped up, and the main storyline involves all the characters this season. So it's not a bunch of shoot-off sort of storylines. So it creates a lot of tension. It's beautiful. It still shoots like a film. It's the frustrating part is like you got to wait week to week to see the thing. You kind of want to binge it.
Yeah.
If it was a book, it's definitely a page turner. So
I hate it and I love it when y'all make us do that. I hate it because I'm like, no, what's next? But then I kind of love because I'm like, what's gonna happen this day? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of nice. It brings you back to like how it used to be. Yeah. When you'd have to wait and there wasn't streaming. We're old, whatever. So you play a pretty complex character in Mayor of Kingstown. So do you see him as good or bad? Or neither?
Yeah. I think the intentions are always good. When you operate in the gray areas of things, right? His role is to keep the peace, but in order to keep the peace, there's, it's like playing chess. A lot of chess moves that happen, and he kind of greases the rusty wheels of incarceration and all sides of it, in and out of the prison, and how it works.
Yeah. I know, I always wonder if because sometimes I'm like, what an ass, but then, oh, he's a good guy. It's like very complicated. No, I do want to talk about this because you have the Renovation Foundation that addresses foster care, which I think is cool. What led you to be a part of this? Yeah,
that was, there's a lot of roads that kind of led me to that, and being Hawkeye was one, having sort of reach and access to kids, but the foster care system, my sister works for Child Protective Services for the state in Los Angeles County. Yeah. And so does her husband, and then one of my best girlfriends as well in Nevada. So I had a lot of friends that work in Child Protective Services, but learning, like during COVID, my sister and my brother-in-law were doing a remote sort of work from my house, and so I'm learning about really behind the scenes of kind of what was happening to these kids.
Yeah.
And I got very, very, very upset. If you know any of these stories, you would be as well. They're
especially when they age out.
Harrowing with these kids. There's 400,000 kids all across America that are sort of marginalized and left behind, and that pisses me off. So instead of being reactive and angry about it, I decided to start a nonprofit to kind of be appendages for all states to really help these kids, give them the opportunities that they deserve. Yeah. What we just did, we teamed up with at A Sense of Home. We started housing them as they age out of foster care, giving them vehicles, giving them access to mental health. Financial literacy is huge. Give them like just basic things that they need to know, how to like apply for jobs, how to, you know, just basic life skill stuff. So with that, there's a community that builds. They need their continuity, they need consistency, they need love, right? And then we're here to give it to them all.
Yeah.
Right? And it's been really, really so easy and fun for us to do. There's like no work in it, it seems, because it's just sort of, to me, it's like breathing. And I have all my family involved in doing it, and these kids deserve these opportunities, and we're here to give it to them, man.
Yeah. I had never really thought about it before, how in foster they age out. And I worked with this organization in Nashville called, it's Monroe Harding, and they work with kids that do age out, and I never thought about that before, but then they're left to their own device, and it's like, what?
Yeah,
like
well, they've been kind of they've been left behind all their lives.
For
you know?
sure,
They
but like literally no help after.
There's zero help and no skill sets ultimately.
How are you going to win in that environment?
A lot of times they'll go into incarceration or drugs or back into sex trafficking, a lot of different stuff. There's not a lot of options for them. So
it's so important what you're doing is what I'm saying. I had never even heard of it before, and then it was like this little organization I heard of in Nashville, and I was like, wow, that's cool that y'all are doing something. Yeah,
there's real effect that can happen, and you see it, and we see it pretty immediate with when you don't have to do very much. It's just pave a little bit of way for them, and they're gonna run. Yeah,
and believe in them so they feel like,
you
know, have some kind of hope, like, you know, some kind of light at the end of the tunnel. Well, we mentioned Hawkeye. So rumor has it, like, I don't know, you might be returning to some, I don't know.
We'll see.
Like, I know you can, like, never say anything. But, like, you think, like, we'll ever see Hawkeye again? Or, like, I don't know.
Well, I think he was born in retirement, that character, so he doesn't stay there very long.
Okay, I love that answer. I love that answer. Okay. Let's talk about your memoir. So you got your daughter involved in the book, right? How did that happen?
My daughter got involved, at the book, because she wrote an essay about, in her school, unbeknownst to me, something that she was very proud of, and it ended up being about her dad overcoming the obstacles in the recovery, and she was very proud of what I did. And I mean,
did you?
I was so of course. I'm like, when your kid is proud of you, like, oh my goodness, what else do you want? I mean, so I asked her, I was like, what do you think? I think if I could put that in the book, and we opened the book with that. And she's like, that'd be really cool. And he's like, really? And like, but you also have to like narrate it too, because I'm narrating the book, so you have to go in the studio with me and then read it out loud. And she was like almost crying. She's so excited. So she's now involved, invested into the audio book. Yeah, so that's pretty awesome.
How special is that? Like with your kiddo?
Yeah, I mean, how many things can you do with a 12-year-old that you both are proud of and both love to do, you know? It's far and few between.
And
do it together, That
must have been the coolest thing, like her being so proud of you and writing something about you. That can't imagine.
Yeah, and it's very sort of an adult kind of exchange, because, you know, her, you can imagine from her perspective, her dad is, you know, was in a very, very harrowing situation. And
didn't know.
She had to consider, like, oh, I almost lost my dad, right? Yeah. That's a tough thing for a young woman to deal with, you know? So we were able to come through it together and get better. Obviously, we know the end of the story here. I'm sitting here, so you know, but it's a very kind of beautiful, intimate, kind of adult kind of situation that we had to go through in that time. Yeah,
it's cool that it brought you closer. That's cool.
That's for sure.
In the book, Jeremy has a number of memorable and meaningful passages that speak to the truth of who he is, what he went through, and what he learned. Now we're going to ask him about some of those passages with a segment called Renner Remembers.
Oh my goodness.
The jingles on this show should be sold on an album. Okay, here's the first line. Don't forget to breathe. I'm bad at this, at breathing. I know that sounds stupid because I'm human.
Well, well, we look, it's reflexive, right? We don't think about breathing, but the idea of it, you know, is it came from Lamaze.
Your times in Lamaze.
Yeah. Yeah, right. What 12-year-old boy goes to Lamaze with his mom? But I did.
Yeah.
And what that did, kind of subconsciously, is teach me about, you know, many things. Conscious breath, first of all, and then how to use it to mitigate pain. And that's what I was able to do eventually. Didn't realize to survive on the ice when I got crushed by that dang snowcat.
Yeah.
Is to stay conscious,
calm.
stay alive, and stay calm. And then with that, keep your heart rate low and all that stuff. And then to be able to like try to find my next breath, you know. So thank goodness for my mama getting pregnant.
Yeah.
And bringing me, though.
Yeah, I was like, I've never heard of bringing a kid to work there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Probably the greatest thing that my mom ever did for me in life. I mean, outside having me, she was the greatest gift to teach me that.
Yeah.
Great lesson.
And to stay calm in that environment. I am not calm in an emergency. Don't you laugh.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm the opposite of calm in that environment. Another line Jeremy wrote is, the only obstacle in your way is you. Oh. It's like you're in therapy with me.
Yeah. That's.
Do you mean like by self-sabotaging, like?
Well, that's the obvious ones, but it's just, I think sort of things we give value to a lot of times are also that's allowing us to get in our way because you give something value. It's the only thing that has value. So we could really take a step back, zoom out a little bit, and realize, does that really have any value in my life? Like, why am I? You know, a lot of times we're in environments, a lot of times that. It can be toxic or not, you know. So I think there's a lot of things that we put in our own way.
Yeah.
And I remind myself of that all the time. So I live a pretty free, open, loving, connected life with people. And because I don't allow anything to get in my way.
That was my next thing. It's like you almost have to be really aware of like, is this good for me or bad for me? Not that they're good or bad, but is this gonna help me?
Yeah, there's a thing about being self-aware, right?
Yeah.
That's quite important. And a lot of times, you know, in our lives and don't allow for that. It takes a little bit of effort, a little bit of work to be aware, to be conscious of ourselves, you know, just like your conscious breath. But
so you don't repeat those habits or
we don't become victimized to some, you know, the
mentality that we kind of put on ourselves. Yeah, I get that. Well, another line you wrote is, stress is an earthly ego experience. I love that.
Yeah.
Fear-fueled and useless.
It is useless.
Just stitch that on a pillow.
What is the point of it, right? It's like, let it go. Whatever it is, just let it go. It's not that important.
But like putting that like on a plaque as you exit your house seems important to me.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of us do that. We let stress kind of get the best. We let our ego take over. We let a lot of that gets in the way.
Yeah. Again, that's one of those things of kind of getting in your own way. Because that's like stressors, right?
Yeah.
And it's terrible for your body. It's a huge.
Body keeps scores. Whole book on it. Yeah. Oh, this is my favorite. Go fail, son.
Yeah, the encouragement of my father, that was one of the greatest sort of lines he told me as a young man going into college. And he encouraged me to go fail, go try things and go fail. Because I was also a kid that had to be the best at everything. So coming from that place, I was a great student and all these things, but maybe not as adventurous, and I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so he encouraged me to try a bunch of stuff and go fail. You don't have to be the best at it, just go try it. And just because you're not good at it doesn't mean you might not be good at it someday. Just go try it, right?
Or you never know what that might lead to.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's when I found acting. I went and tried this acting course, and I knew nothing about it. And because of that, I went into this theater course and tried this acting course. And I think that worked out pretty good for me, didn't it? Right?
It's amazing advice. Because at the same time, I think a lot of parents can put pressure on their kids to succeed. And instead, you allow them like, hey, there's grace to mess up.
That's a way to succeed, right?
Exactly.
And like all my greatest sort of successes came from failures, came from obstacles and not the easy path, not the obvious path.
Yeah.
It's all the failures that gave me my greatest gifts.
Yeah. Also a great shirt, though. Go fail, son. Kind of great. There's a whole line here. Everybody give it up for Jeremy Renner, y'all. His book is called My Next Breath. It's out now. And be sure to watch him in Mayor of Kingstown. Season 4 is out now on Paramount+.